Hi, I'm Nick Buick from the On-Site Manager, and today I'm going to be talking about real estate photography. This is a subject that's quite near and dear to me. Before I was in software and before I was in real estate, I actually worked in a commercial photographic studio, and I was very fortunate there. I worked with some extremely talented and respected commercial photographers. This is one of my old bosses, Ron Ratcliffe. This was a shot that he took. This is the Marlboro Man from the 1960s. Ron was responsible for bringing colour film to Australia. That hangs up in my office. So it's a hobby for me now, but it's something that holds a lot of value to me. So when I get on-site managers calling me up and telling me that their photography doesn't look any good, and I probably get this call about once a week, this is something that I like to try and work out with them. And generally the reason managers' photography doesn't look any good is because the person who's doing the photography is not a photographer, and B, the thing that person is using to take the photos is not a camera. So when you have a manager using a telephone to attempt to deliver commercial quality photography, it's not going to happen. What you need is a professional photographer using one of these. This is a camera. This is not a camera. This is a phone. There's a fundamental difference. The first one is that when you're using a telephone, you're taking calls with it. You hold it like that. Now, managers will automatically do the exact same thing when they start taking photos. They hold it up like this. Click, 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 click. There's my photos done. When you are using a camera, you hold it like this. You'll notice when you're holding a camera like this, you're actually shooting in landscape format. When you hold a phone like this, you're shooting in portrait format. Now, when you think about a house or an apartment or any piece of real estate, is it a portrait or is it a landscape? It's a landscape. So all of the portals, realestate.com, Domain, etc., they're all designed to be provided with photography by someone who they assume knows what they're doing and knows to shoot in landscape format because they're shooting landscapes. So if you start sending them photos in portrait format, they're not going to work. It's the wrong aspect ratio straight away. Oh, how can I fix that? Is the next question I often get asked. Well, you can't. You've shot it in the wrong format. There's nothing you can't add back in what isn't already there. So you need to go back and shoot it again, or better still, hire a professional photographer and do the shoot properly. Is what I'm always encouraging managers to do, because this isn't a camera and you are not a photographer. This is a camera. I am a trained photographer. Even so, I still do not attempt my own photo shoots for my own properties. I hire a real estate photographer, and the reason I do that is because for $150 I can hire someone who has all the latest equipment, the latest knowledge and capabilities, and who does this all day long every day, and they're going to achieve a vastly superior result than what I would get for less money and less hassle. It's a no-brainer. But if you are going to attempt your own photography, and not for a minute am I suggesting that you do, but if you are, there's a few things you should understand. The first one we just covered was that's portrait, that's landscape. The second thing is this. This is a lens. It's this thing here on the front of your camera. That's a lens. Now, there's a few things that this lens can do that this one can't that make a huge difference in real estate photography. The first thing it can do is you have focus. So you can control your focus with this lens, whereas you really can't with this lens. And that's important when you're trying to shoot the inside of an apartment. You want everything to be nice and sharp and clear and in focus, because that's what folks are relying on to look at the property and work out if they want to live there or not. If it's all blurry and out of focus, then it's not going to look any good, and you're doing your owners a significant disservice by attempting to market it with blurry images. So that's why these lenses are much more important than these ones. The second thing this lens does that this one can't is it controls aperture. Now your aperture is like a little iris that sits inside the lens, and that determines how much light goes through. Those are your f-stops. The lower the f-stop, the more opened up the aperture inside the lens is, and the more light comes in. Now, when you're shooting with one of these, you have no real control over that. You can make it a little bit brighter or a little bit darker, but it's not effective for shooting real estate. So what you'll notice a professional photographer will do is they'll mount their camera on a tripod and they'll shoot what's called a bracket. So the camera doesn't move, it sits on the tripod, and then they'll shoot wide open all the way down to closed. So they'll get a nice bracket there, the same image over and over again with different levels of brightness. And what they then do is they stack it. So you're going to have all different things inside that shot. You're going to have open windows, you're going to have light coming in from outside, you're going to have the outside view from the apartment, and then you're going to have furniture inside the room. There'll be white walls, there might be dark furniture. All of those things need to be captured correctly and presented in your photography. Now, if you just shoot one image on a phone, your windows are going to all be blown out and white, your room's going to be dark, your furniture is going to be jet black, it's going to look like garbage. So what a photographer does by shooting that bracket and then stacking it, they can then make sure that everything is correctly exposed so that you can see the view outside the windows, you can see inside the room, you can see the detail, you can see the walls, you can see everything that you need to see again to make a decision on whether or not you want to investigate that unit further. It's important. We're presenting stuff for market here. Buyers and renters need to see this information. In fact, 45% of feedback realestate.com gets from renters is that the photography is not up to scratch. So it is a really important thing, making sure that's adequately exposed. The third thing that this lens can do, that this one can't, is adjust the lens length. Now, the focal length is the distance between the lens plane and the film plane. And by lengthening that focal plane, you get what's called a zoom. So you get a longer lens length, and that's really good for looking at things that are far away. This lens is a longer lens typically than what you would need to shoot the inside of an apartment where everything is quite close to you. That's why you shorten the lens length, and then you can capture more of the room. You can't do that with one of these. There's no way of capturing any more than it can capture in a single image. You can't shorten that lens length any further, and you're basically stuck. And that's why if you look at amateur phone photography of real estate, often it'll just be a couple of walls. You can't see the whole room properly. To demonstrate this, what I did was I sent one of my managers of one of my properties upstairs to the apartment to do a quick photo shoot with their handy iPhone. And then I sent the photographers that we use, who's Real Property Photography, I sent them in afterwards, and they did a proper shoot with one of these fellas on a tripod with a professional photographer. And if you have a look at those results, it's night and day. There's absolutely no comparison there. One of them shows you the room is nicely lit, everything's in focus, you can see the whole room in the shot, the perspectives are correct, the colors are punchy, it's nice and clear, as opposed to the dark, dimly lit, horrible looking apartment that you can see in the other photo from the smartphone. There's no comparison there. You should absolutely use a professional photographer when you want a professional result from your marketing. Now, a lot of resistance that I get from managers when I say that to them is, my owner's not going to pay for that. And my answer to that always is, well, why wouldn't they? They're paying for a manager. They don't have to. There's definitely no reason. There's no gun at anyone's head forcing them to use an on-site manager or any other property manager. Anyone can manage their own property if they want to. The reason that they've made the decision to hire a manager is because they can appreciate that by bringing in a professional who knows what they're doing, they're going to get a better result faster and for less money. And that's the essence of hiring an on-site manager. They're going to do a better result for you. They're on-site there. They're going to manage it better. They're going to save you money in the long run. You're not going to have to be driving out to the property every 3 weeks to fix a leaking tap. It's a better outcome all around. It's exactly the same thing with a photographer. As a manager, you should understand that you can't do everything. You can't be a photographer. You might be an excellent manager. If you're a really good manager, you'll understand why you can't be a really good photographer. And you're better off hiring someone else who is. So that's my answer to managers. A lot of them listen and get far better results. Some don't. But hopefully this video today has sort of explained a few of the reasons why using one of these and walking around like this isn't the work of a professional. Not a professional photographer or a professional manager. I'm Nick Buick. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Remember to like and share, and we'll see you next time.